think that's all we have. Um, if there's any board members from the other chambers, could you please introduce yourself? Didn't recognize any. Anyway, we decided to make it a quad chamber event so that everyone could benefit from the information that Dr. Tian has to share. Are there any announcements from the chamber, Russell or Jonathan?
I've got nothing at this point, Mike. I think you've been able to get a excellent speaker to come and talk to the quad chambers. We're honored and pleased to have someone of Eugene's caliber to be able to talk to our group.
Okay, thanks, Russell. I just wanted to mention that we do have one other webinar scheduled for February 10th. It's kind of a follow-on done by the Hawaii Small Business Development Center. So look for that email and please sign up. And with that, I'd like to introduce our speaker for today. We're very fortunate to have Dr. Eugene Tian, who is the Chief Economist for the Hawaii State Department of Business, Economic Development and Tourism, also known as DBET. His office conducts research on economic issues such as tourism, emerging industries, diversification, quality of life, technology, energy, and taxation. His team also produces the official statewide short-range economic forecast on a quarterly basis and the long-range population and economic forecast every 5 years. So as you can see, Dr. Tian is responsible for tracking, analyzing, and forecasting a lot of the state's important economic information for the information and consumption of the general public. I'd like to welcome Dr. Tian as he shares his thoughts on the very pertinent topic of how Hawaii's economy is doing under the COVID-19 pandemic and when it might be fully recovered. Dr. Tian.
Thank you, Michael. Let me share my screen. Something is frozen. Okay. You see my screen, right? All right. Let me first let me give you a overview of our economy. Thank you, Michael, for your introduction. Actually, my office enlarged last year. The state legislature transferred 2 offices to me in the last legislation. One office is from a labor department. Now we reporting the labor statistics in terms of unemployment rate, how many jobs, and which industry is recovering, which industry is falling behind. And at the same time, they transferred the tourism research office from Hawaii Tourism Authority to my office. So our office has been reporting the visitor statistics on a monthly and actually on a daily basis as well. So this slide shows the overall. I will just tell you what our overall projection is. There are a few numbers you may want to pay attention. So the first one, the second line, it says visitor arrivals. When you see 2019, that's pre-pandemic, we have about 10.4 million visitors. But when you look at it, the last column, 2024, we will be nearly 10 million, but it's not going to be fully recovered until 2025. So it takes a few years for the tourism industry to recover. And when you look at the third line, it says visitor expenditures. in 2019, we had about $18 billion. And in 2024 is about 18 billion. But this including the inflation. We know the price level now is high. For the second half of the year, it was 5% for Hawaii's inflation. For the nation, it was over 6%. So if we adjust for inflation, the 2024 number will be lower than 2019 number. So the increase is also in part is due to inflation. Then the next line, let's look at it, non-agricultural wage and salary jobs. We always call this is payroll jobs. If you look at it, the 2019 is 658.5 thousand jobs. That's the total payroll jobs in the state, not including agriculture. Agriculture has only about 5,000 jobs, very small in Hawaii. But when you look at 2024, it's still below the 2019 level. So it won't recover until after 2025. So when you look at the unemployment rate, before the pandemic, 2.5%. When you look at the 2024, will be still above that 2.4%, 2.5%. Hawaii's natural rate is 4.5%. I think we will be reaching to the natural rate by 2024. When you look at the line called real gross domestic product, this is the economic size or economic value every country in the world use to measure the size of the economy. In 2019, $79 billion. In 2024, will be 78. It's close to 79 billion, but it means it will not recover until 2025. So overall projection is when the economy will be fully recovered, 2025. So that answered the question of the subject. Let me go on to tell you more about the details. What happened to the real GDP? This is the size of the economy. We actually, as of the third quarter, is 100% recovered for the non-tourism sector. So the overall is 94%, but it's 100.3% for non-tourism. Tourism is still recovering, but it's about 79%. It's falling behind the recovery. That's drives the whole economy is tourism. When we look at the payroll jobs, the recovery for the first 11 months is 86%. We have December data. As I said, the Labor Research Office is under me now. We will release the labor data next Monday. The number looks good in December. So, but the full recovery is 86%. Non-tourism, 93% recovery, and tourism is at about 78%. The economy was doing really good the first half year up to July. Actually, you can see on the chart, we have the retail tax base. So this is adjusted for inflation. So the sales in the state has been great. Actually, since March, we see a lot of sales. The retail sales is actually in 2021, the yellow line is above 2019. So it is over 2019, even accounting for the inflation. Wholesale, it was great as well. In August, it was actually, it's jumped. Construction has been good. You look at the construction tax base, those are the basic construction. So Hawaii's construction business is about $10 billion of business. It's growing. During the pandemic, you can see 2020, 2021, it actually didn't decrease. It's pretty much level as the pre-pandemic. And we see this 0.5% use tax is mostly the imported goods, mostly coming from the US mainland. But that 0.5% use tax increased in 2021. So I think all these sales increased since March 2021. But we do have certain industries falling behind. If you look at the service tax base, is still below the 2019 level, but it's approaching the 2019 level. Other rental, those are the primarily the home rentals. We have 40% of the residents, they are renting their homes. You can see that there are some decrease in the other rentals, but the hotel rental, it has been very small at the beginning, but if you look at the August, it's already more than the overtaken, or it is more than the pre-pandemic. So even the hotel, we see the visitor industry, we still recovering, but in terms of hotel rentals, it's actually increased in August. Let's move on to a different market. Look at the labor market. Hawaii's unemployment rate, we had a very good unemployment rate between 2015 and 2019. We were the second lowest in the nation. Then we became the third highest in April 2020, and with a 21.9% unemployment rate, historical high in Hawaii. But now the unemployment rate in November, it was 6%, and December number will be below, will be releasing on Monday, is actually below 6%. So it still continue to improve. And currently, Hawaii's unemployment rate is the sixth highest in the nation. It's an improvement because it was the third highest in the nation, and now is the sixth highest in the nation. It's increased a little bit, but still is pretty high. Then when we look at the job count by industry for the first 11 months of 2021, as compared with the pre-pandemic, you can see that we still lost about 91,000 jobs. They are still lost. They are waiting to be called back. Most of them are in tourism. So you can see by industry, construction was okay. We saw the chart is about level. It's about 100%. And the ones are falling behind is tourism related, transportation, information, hospitality, other services. They are under 80%. But when you look at the by county, actually Honolulu County recovers pretty good, Hawaii County, but Maui County and Kauai County, they are falling behind because they are more tourism related, dependent. Maui and Kauai more tourism dependent than Honolulu and Hawaii County. So look at the jobs in a easy way. If you look at 2019, it's pretty much level at about 660,000 jobs. Every month is pretty much flat. But during the pandemic, we see some increase until July this year, last year, 2021. Then the Delta variant started. And then we have a decrease in the job count. So it's pretty much leveled after the Delta. And the job openings, there are a lot of job openings. The latest data is October. You can see we have almost about 57,000 openings. And we have something like a little below 40,000. We still have about 18,000 positions is not filled. So this is the highest since the pandemic. We have a lot of job openings, and we don't have enough people to fill in the positions. We currently have a shortage in labor, and a lot of people are not returning to the labor force. We are currently planning to do a survey on the people who are not returning to labor force. They are not looking for jobs. We want to find out why they are not returning to the labor force. I think the research will be completed in about 2 to 3 months. Tourism. So we have data up to yesterday. So you can see I have this is TSA data. Anybody passing TSA at the airport, they are recorded. So I compare with January 1st for the US and Hawaii. The green is Hawaii, blue is US. You can see that at the beginning of 2021 is similar, but in the summer months, Hawaii really took off. So compared with January, Hawaii actually increased by 4.5 times. But then when Delta started, Hawaii's travel decreased, but we did have some increase during the holidays, like the Thanksgiving and Christmas. And then we had Omicron started in August. So we do see some decrease in the vegetation. I will show you more on that. So this shows you about the total visitors, including domestic, international, all the sources. You see the recovery from the beginning of the year, and it became a peak in July at 88.4% recovery compared with the same months in 2019. Then the Delta started, then we decreased in vegetation. There was an increase in Thanksgiving time, increase in Christmas time, then the Omicron started. And now you can see in November, we had about 20,000 per day. And in December, it's about 24,000 per day. And the first 18 days in January, we had 18,000 per day. So these are visitors, not including returning residents. We have about 15% of the passengers are Hawaii residents returning from the US mainland. So this is US domestic visitors. Domestic visitors is not equivalent to US visitors because there are a lot of other countries like Chinese visitors. They first came to the US mainland, then they come to Hawaii. So every month we have about a few hundred visitors from China. They came through the mainland. So these are the by direction, the domestic visitors by flight from the US mainland. You can see that starting in May, almost every month, they are above the 2019 pre-pandemic level, it's over 100%, except only 1 month in October is less than 100%. But even now, the visitors from the US mainland is still 101%. So compared with the same month in 2019. Let's move on. Look at it. This is US visitors. So for the domestic visitors, that's including foreigners, they came through the mainland. So this is only US visitors. And of course, they are coming from the US mainland. And some of them, very few, they come from international, but they are US citizens. So the US visitor, you can see since May 2021, every month, they are higher than the same month 2019. So it's for the US visitors is fully recovered since May every month. But because international is still falling behind, the recovery for international visitors is only about 6%. So compared with all the visitors, the full recovery for the first 11 months is about 64%. So this is 64% overall, including US visitors and the international visitors. So you can see here in July, it was about 88.4% recovery. Then we decreased because of the Delta. Here is the Delta. The Omicron is not included here yet. But in terms of hotel occupancy rate, in July, it's actually 97% of the July 2019 level. It's almost recovered. But because the hotel now, they charge a higher rate. They charge about $360. It's much higher than the 2019 level. That's why you see the hotel tax base is actually increased a lot. And in terms of visitor expenditures, it's the same pattern. In July, the recovery is about 93% compared with July 2019. And since then, it is declining. So let's move on. This is by month and by county. You can see July, the recovery in arrivals is 88.4%. Then since then is a decrease, and November is 77.4%. For December, the chart I was showing, it shows about 70% recovery. So by island, you can see the recovery leading by the two islands, actually mostly is Maui and Kauai. So the Maui in July, the recovery is 92%. Let's move on. What happened to the next few months for the scheduled air seat? This is the supply side of tourism. How many seats are coming? How many flights? So depends on the size of the plane, we call equipment. So the bigger plane will have more seats. So for 2021, for the 12 months, is 18.8% decrease compared with 2019. That means it's about 82 or 80, about 82% or 81% recovery from 2019. But in January is a decrease. In February is a decrease because of the Omicron. And in March, according to the airline schedules, I get this schedule yesterday. It shows that they will recover. For the airlines, they are ready and they plan to fly in March this year. The seat will increase by 4.6%. If you look at it by airport or by island, no matter what, you look at the Kahului, the increase every month, even other island, mostly is Honolulu, is a decrease for the next few months. Even in March, is a decrease by 6.8%. But Kahului and Kona, they are increasing. Kahului increased by a double digit, is 30% each month. So look at the scheduled air seat. This is total, including international and domestic. We have a decrease in January, February will be an increase in March. So you can see 2021, the increase is actually is peaked in July. That is even higher than the 2019 level. Then we are starting with Delta, it is a decrease, but 2020 was a decrease. Look at the domestic, the flights from the US mainland, it's an increase in January, February, and March every month. So it's going to be increase in the future months. Most of the visitors will be coming from the US mainland, but the international visitors will be still slow. You can see this is international air seat. We still, as of March, even we have a lot of recoveries, is about 61% of recovery in March 2022 compared with 2019 level. But for 2021, you can see is very small. So that's why the recovery is only about 6% from international. But the airline, this is the airline load factor, is about occupancy. How many seats are empty? Pre-pandemic, in January, February, you can see that is about 85%. But actually in July, this is in June, the load factor is over 90% are occupied. 90% of the seats were occupied in terms of both international and domestic. Although also there are fewer flights from international, but a lot of seats, they are not empty. And now the occupancy decrease since the Delta. Talking about real estate construction, everybody knows that our real estate market is going crazy. You look at these numbers, both in terms of sales and the median price is double digit. This is the first time I've been working here in the state government for 30 years. And this is the first year I see these people are crazy buying homes. Condo sales, you look at it, is over 50%. The lowest is 53% for Oahu. The median price is 9.2%. And other island is also increasing in the price. I will tell you more about the home sales. So this is since 2008 up to the first 3 quarters of 2021. So you can see who are buying our homes. The actually 80% in 2020, 81% is local residents. And for this first 9 months, it's about 75% is local residents. It's about the same as the historical. If you average all these years, about 25% purchased by out-of-state buyers, and the local residents is about 75%. So the decrease is actually international. It has been declining, but the mainland buyers, it has been declining over time, but an increase in 2021. I think this is the after the recession. Last time after recession, 2009, 2008, actually we started recession. You see the 2009, 2010, the US mainland visitors, they come here to purchase. And now it's happened again in 2021. And this shows, I have 10 years comparison for the 2011 and 2021. You do see that for Honolulu is more local, but the increase is not significant. But if you look at the neighbor island, Maui and Kauai, is 50% local, 50% out of state, and now is more local than out of state. Let me show you more details by island. This is state total. You can see the quarterly. This is the number of sales, home sales. Is first quarter 2021 is actually the historical high. On a typical year, the total home sales in the state is 20,000 homes. They change ownership. But for the first 9 months, 2021, is about 20,000. So the 9 months sale is equivalent to, I'm sorry, equivalent to a year's sale. So that you can see the increase in the local purchase and the increase in mainland purchase. But the international, it was very low in 2020. It's increasing, but still falling below the average of the last 10 years. This is Honolulu County. You can see the same pattern, an increase in 2021. Mainland increase in Honolulu. If you compare with the last 10 years, now it's higher. International is coming back, but it's still lower than the average of the last 10 years. This is Hawaii County, Big Island, same pattern, increase in 2021. The increase started in the third quarter 2020. Mainland increase, international is still the same pattern, falling behind. And Maui County is local residents purchasing. Mainland coming back to Maui. International is very small. Usually the Canadians come to Maui to purchase, and the Japanese come to Oahu to purchase. Usually the Canadians purchase about 500 homes in the state, and the Japanese purchase about 300 homes, mostly is on Oahu. And now the number is declining for international purchase. This is Kauai, is the same pattern, 2021 increase, and mainland increase. International is increasing on Kauai. So in terms of home sale price, the foreigners, they purchase the high end in terms of single family, $2.2 million per home. And the mainland, they purchase average 1.6 million per home. Local residents about 877,000. In terms of condo, the same pattern. For foreigners, it's nearly 1 million. The mainland is about 845,000. Our local residents purchase the low end at about 588,000. So continue related to the home sales, construction is booming. So you can see the chart from January 2016, and now is the highest. So actually, the previous peak was 2015, because of a kakao. And this time is actually higher than the kakao boom, because there are a lot of, for the first 11 months, we had about 5,000 homes authorized from the building permit. That is an increase of about 94% from 2020. It's a big increase. A lot of residential homes are under construction. You heard about a lot of news about the construction, the homes built in the Kakao and others. The two big projects, Ho'opili and Coral Ridge, they are under construction. A lot of homes are built and also sold. So look at it, the business operations. We did the 4 surveys since the pandemic. And you look at the July survey, we asked the businesses, have you closed due to the pandemic? You can see that the businesses never closed is about 39%. That means about 61% of them, they closed, either temporarily or maybe permanently. So I think the last column is showing that they were 16% still closed in July. And that number increased to 24% because of the second lockdown on Oahu, because September, when we did the survey, it was the second lockdown. Then in December, it's decreased to 10.5%. We asked the question a little bit different in March 2021. We asked if they are fully open, or they are partially open, or they are temporarily closed or permanent closed. So only 1.8% translated into about 500 businesses, they permanently closed. But most of them are open, so 92% open. Okay, that's in March 2021. We didn't do survey after 2021. And this is state general excise tax collection. I consider this to be the most comprehensive measure of our business activity. And we have to have a sales. We have to have an activity to pay the general excise tax. You can see this since June and to December, these 7 months. Every month, our tax revenue, general excise tax revenue, is higher than 2019 level. It happened to be that the state now has a lot of money. Actually, the general excise tax increased over 37% for the previous 6 months for the fiscal year. And even the general fund revenue, we increased 27.6%. So now the state is thinking about how do we use the money for this big collection. So look at the individual income tax. You can see it's interesting. This is compared to 2019. Every single month, the income tax is higher than the pre-pandemic level. So our household has a lot of money to pay for individual income tax. This is an interesting phenomenon. During this pandemic, there are 2 things. It was very surprising me. It never happened before. One is the income. During this pandemic, we have a lot of income. Actually, the personal income, household income increased instead of decrease during the recession. And the second thing is the bankruptcy. Usually during the recession, bankruptcy filing increased, but this time the bankruptcy actually decreased. So this is the retail sales. It's consistent with the retail tax base. You see the 2021, first quarter, second quarter, third quarter, the top line is double-digit increase every quarter. That's why the general excise tax increased. That's why the retail tax base increase, especially one line. You look at these building materials and the garden equipment and the supplies. Look at this line. Even in 2020, every quarter is an increase. There is no decrease, but before the pandemic is actually a decrease. But during this pandemic, because of the construction and people doing a lot of housework, they work on their backyard, landscaping, grow some plants and some vegetables for themselves. So this store, Home Depot, Lowe's, I think they are doing good during this pandemic. And this is what I was saying. I believe this is the last slide, showing that in 2010, the past recession we call Great Recession, we had about 4,000 businesses filed bankruptcy, 4,000. So one quarter is about over 1,000. But now in 2020, we decreased by 81.1%. But in 2021, is further decreased by 22.3%. So it's a phenomenon I never seen before, but it is mainly due to the federal assistance. As of today, the state, for all the sources, will receive about $20 billion from the federal government, either as a paycheck to the household or as the stimulus fund, unemployment insurance, and the money coming to the state government and to all the nonprofit organizations. The total is about 20 billion. I think that concludes my presentation. I'll be happy to answer any questions you may have. I think we have another 20 minutes or so.
Yeah, thank you, Dr. Tian. If you have any questions, please type them in the chat. It looks like we have a question from Cynthia. Her question is there data from DCCA available on new and closed businesses during 2019, 2020, and 2021?
Yeah, we actually do a report. The data I presented is actually from our survey. We asked the businesses if they are closed or they are open or partially open. It's a survey. We sent out 4 surveys 4 times. The responding is about 15,000. It's from a statistical point of view, is a big sample. But the DCCA data, we are aware of that. But the DCCA data doesn't show if the business is in operation or if they are, because they actually show the registration. When they are registered, it doesn't mean that they are in operation. So the DCCA data is not accurate for these purposes. So we use that's why we did the survey.
Okay, thank you. We have another question from Jonathan. For home sales, what criteria makes one local as far as residency?
Yeah, Jonathan, your question is very good. A lot of people ask this question. I think the data is not perfect because the base for this, it is out of state or in state, is based on the land court record, and it's based on the address of the real property tax notice sent. So if they record it with the land court, for example, if a foreigner, but they use a local real estate agent or local lawyer or local friends and relatives, that property will be recorded as a local, as a Hawaii residence. So it's actually based on the address recorded at the land court. So, but it does have some homes, they were actually owned by foreigner, but they use a local residence, local address. So it is not perfect, but I think overall for the historically, when we look at the data, the trend is still good.
Okay, thank you. Mona, I saw you raised your hand. Did you have a question?
No, I saw Patrick ask the question. Thank you.
Okay. Anyone else? Looks like we've got a question from Russell. His question is, if agriculture or farm jobs are such a small as a percent of our total jobs, the cost of agricultural land so expensive, and land and regulations are so constraining, why is there a push to be self-sustaining when it seems like trying to catch water with a net?
Good question. I think that is always because Hawaii has we always promote the we call the traded sector. Traded means that we export. So the traded sector, for example, is the tourism. So mostly the export has two parts. One is we send the goods and services out of state for consumption out of state, or goods and services consumed by out of state people in Hawaii. So the tourism visitor expenditure is considered to be a export, although the consumption is in Hawaii, but by out of state residents. So the total export in Hawaii is about 30% of the total GDP, or 30% of the total economy. Our import is about 40%. So we have a deficit. We import more than we export. So the export, one part, the main part is tourism, but we do have about $5 billion of other exports. Mainly is the agricultural product, and including the water, the deep sea water. But agricultural product like the macadamia. So that is, usually we promote the export industry. Agriculture is one of the potential, or one of the industries they export products or produce. So Hawaii has a lot of regulation in terms of agricultural land. And it's not only on agricultural land, because we have a lot of code. We have the state code, we have the county code, and that part is always under discussion. How do we change that system? It is not an economic question. It's actually is a kind of political question. So it's a very difficult question. Agricultural contribution to the economy is very small. It's less than 1%. In terms of job, it's also less than 1%. But their contribution to the economy is more than 1%. And it should be around 3 to 4%. The reason is because the agriculture, they serve as a input, the materials, the supplies for other industries like food processing and wholesale and retail sale. So without agriculture, we lost other industries. And I think the contribution is around 3 to 4%. Instead of the direct contribution is only about 0.6%. I think that is one of the industries we call shovel ready. And you can do something because we have the resources, we have the tropical fruit and the flowers, something the other places don't have. I think Hawaii has usually we consider to be to have the comparative advantage for economic development, something we can develop cheaper than other places. If we don't have the comparative advantage, we will lose that industry, like the sugar, pineapple. We cannot compete. You know, for producing 1 pound of sugar, it costs us more than other places. So then the people will buy from other places. But tourism, because of the weather, the beaches, the aloha spirit, the mixed culture, we spend less than other places, and we attract more people. Agriculture is another thing, because we produce a few products other places don't have. When I was in Chicago and I brought some macadamia nut covered chocolate and Kona coffee, but my friend told me, "Oh, I'm sorry, I don't have anything specific in Chicago to give you." because we are proud to have some product is only made in Hawaii. Yeah, it's a difficult question, Russell. That is very difficult for the zoning thing for agriculture to change them to other use.
Sounds good. Thank you. We have another question from Jonathan. Are there any known or possible reasons for those people who are not seeking jobs at all? It would seem that they wouldn't be able to support themselves for so long without employment, especially in Hawaii and with the current inflation.
Yeah, it's a good question. That's why we actually don't know. That's why we are doing a survey to ask. We actually identify. We did a survey in the previous few months. The survey is about remote work. We are asking how many people. We asked both the employees and the employers how many of them are doing remote work and why they are doing remote work. What are the advantages and disadvantages? Then we identified about 1,100 people. They are not working. They are not in the labor force. And we target these 1,100 people. We'll do another survey asking them why you are not in the labor force. So the reasoning would be the following. One, they are retired, either at age or maybe early retirement, or they may be a COVID related. They worry about health, and they would suffer from reducing the quality of life, but maybe have a better protection staying home. Or they are, because in the economy, what I presented, our economy, actually the production is increasing, a lot of sales, even in the tourism, but fewer people. So that means a lot of people, they have to work very hard to produce more than the normal time. So that some of the people may be exhausted and they don't want to work because exhausted. And some of them may be because their wage. So one question we will ask them, why and what will make you go back to work? So one of them may be minimum wage or flexible working arrangement like remote work. So those kind of things. I think in summary, maybe some people retired. They are not in the labor force. Maybe health reason because of the COVID. Maybe because of the exhausted. Because when they work extra hard. And because of the business, I think some of you are business owners. Some of you are cautious because you don't know what is happening. Because the COVID thing is back and forth. You don't want to hire more people. You want to wait and see, right? During this time, there's a lot of demand and you have to produce. So the people may be exhausted. So there are some other reasons. Maybe they have enough income saved before the pandemic, or maybe some income saved during the pandemic because the government assistance like employment insurance, although they stopped, the federal portion stopped in September 2021. But people, as I show in my presentation, we actually see a big increase in the personal income. Mostly is the transfer, we call transfer receipt, is the money from the federal government. That $20 billion coming to the state, most of them became income of our residents. Even they come from the government or come from businesses, universities, but then they spend those money in the state, so it turns to be becoming an income of our household. Yeah, we will see. I think in about 2 to 3 months, we'll have the result of our survey, and that survey hopefully they will tell people why they are not returning to the labor force. And we also ask them, what can we encourage you to come back to the labor force? One, maybe increase the minimum wage. and maybe maybe $20 if are you coming back. What about the flexible working hours or work arrangement? And what about other incentives? And as I told you, the state has a lot of money, and I think maybe some of that money can be used to give incentive to the people, maybe at a certain industries, encourage them to come back to work, and instead give them some kind of incentive. That's my personal thinking. It's not the government, it's not the governor's plan. It's my personal thinking. I think since we have a lot of money, and what do we do with that?
Thank you. Yeah, I think you answered Russell's questions about addressing labor shortages, and yes, you actually mentioned would a wage increase reduce the unemployment. You know, even in my industry, I see there's shortages everywhere at all different levels, and I guess it's a problem that everyone's trying to find a solution to, and where these workers went, and how do we get them back or get new employees.
Yes, when I have a feeling that we don't have data yet, but I have a feeling that we have more people moving to the mainland. Because at the beginning in January, we compare with January and November, we lost 10,000 people in the labor force. Those 10,000 people, where did they go? They are not working. They are not they are not self-employed. They are not working for pay. So either they quit, they stay home, and they go to the Magic Island watching the sun going down, watching girls passing by, or they maybe move to the mainland. So that's why we want to know why we decrease about 10,000 in the labor force. While we have a lot of openings, I think we have 18,000 positions that need to be filled.
Yeah, I think that's across all industries. Any other questions for Dr. Tian?
Dr. Chen, I'm just going to talk if you can hear me. I think the reason why a lot of people move to the mainland is the wages are a lot higher on the mainland than they are locally. My son, he's 30 years old. He's getting paid an incredible amount of money as a finance guy. And he's only been working a couple, 3 years. He's got his master's in finance. But these kids are getting paid so much money in California that it's not anywhere competitive to what he would get here. I think he gets paid to double what his buddies are getting paid locally here. People are moving to the mainland. I mean, we just don't have the capability or salary scales to be able to pay people what they deserve to get paid. We just don't make enough money here.
Yeah, exactly. I think the state is looking at it to keep those people in Hawaii, but work remotely for the mainland companies, so that they have money from the mainland and then they spend in Hawaii. That will help our economy. So that's one of the strategy. But if they cannot work remotely, and they have to move to the mainland.
Yeah. Aloha United Way, they struggle to generate about $10 million a year in contributions for AUW. I was talking to a fellow that is in Minneapolis, in Milwaukee, and the Milwaukee AUW, or their United Way, their goals are about $50 million, 5 times with the same population base. How do we compete?
Yeah, I mean, they are more wealthier than us.
I mean, they've got large corporations that can kick in $5-10 million. We don't have that here.
Right.
Yeah. Well, I think we're at 1 o'clock. So we're going to draw this to a conclusion. I want to thank Dr. Tian again for his time and sharing all this interesting and helpful information about the economy. And, hopefully we'll recover soon in the next couple of years.
Okay, thank you for inviting me. It's nice to talk to your group. I see Win Jung is a longtime friend since I was a student at the university. I know Win Jung. So good to see you.
All right. Well, thank you, everybody. Have a great rest of your day.
Thank you, Dr. Tian.
Thank you.